Hello and welcome to Edie Extra, the new home for all of Edie's special audio features, building on our long-running Sustainability Uncovered podcast with one-on-one interviews, site visits, analysis, panels and more.
Hello listeners, welcome back to the ED Extra channel. Today, I'm at the Conduit in Soho, London, which is a social club for professionals working in the sustainability and social sector, for the launch of Patagonia's Progress Report. The event featured a panel discussion on how businesses can stay resilient amidst the recent ESG pushback, which is exactly what this episode is about. Joining me is Patagonia's Regional Manager for EMEA, Alex Beasley. Hi Alex, how are you?
Nice to meet you, Sidhi. I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining, Alex. We heard from the speakers on the panel about why it's so important to stay resilient right now, especially with what's happening in the States and the follow back then here across the Atlantic in the UK and EU. But given this backdrop of the federal pushback that we're seeing and similar concerns about regulation delays and omnibus, how are you staying resilient?
Okay, I think that's a really interesting question. And the answer is really rather straightforward, although it sounds straightforward, but then it's whatever comes out of it is the key thing. And I think it comes back to, I guess the best way to describe them are foundational values. As a company, and many other companies talk about values, we have 5 foundational: lead and examine life, clean up our own act, do our penance, support civil democracy, and then use business to inspire and influence solutions against the climate crisis. They're our foundational values. The thing about a value, I heard a great definition by a guy called Steve Peters recently. Have you heard of Steve Peters?
No, I haven't actually.
So he wrote a book, he's a clinical psychologist, he wrote a book called The Chimp Paradox, one of many. And when he's working with somebody, he always gets asked, how do you decide to work with somebody? And the first question he asks is what their values are. And he was asked, what is a value? And he defined a value as an ethical stance with a behaviour attached. So if you take our 5 foundational values, the key thing for us has been and always will be how you create action in pursuit of those values. Because in the action you create as pursuit of those values is an outcome that enables you to stay resilient. Resilience isn't standing strong, staying firm and not moving. It's about bending and moving with the challenges and the turbulence that anybody gets in life or in business. So the truth is, we stay true to values because that helps us be resilient as a business.
That's great. But what is also the business case of staying resilient? Talked about value, but reaffirming climate commitments, especially right now, what value do you see in that? And are there any risk of not doing so?
Simple way to answer your last part of the question. Is there any risk in not doing so? No, we always will be, because we're staying true to values. So what's the business case? The business case, as you heard tonight, we're a responsible business. What does responsibility mean? It means living up to the things that you will do. If we no longer do that, then we're no longer being the company that we set out to be, and we're no longer the company that people buy products from. We're not staying true to values, we're not staying true to our customer, and then if you don't do that, then there is no business case. And if there's no business case, there's no money to give away, and if there's no money to give away, then we won't succeed in our mission. Not that I think we maybe will live to see our mission, I certainly won't anyway, but if we don't stay true to values, then there is no business case.
Thanks, Alice. And there was some talk about, money and profit and this growing tension between economic growth and environmental conservation. How do you think businesses can balance people, planet, and profit in an effective way while also managing both pressure?
A lot of us, even in the pursuit of trying to balance people, planet and profit, then we're all maximising one or the other, usually profit in pursuit of looking after people and looking after the planet. I don't think there's any straight answer. I certainly don't have that answer. The only way you can do that is actually by sharing and learning from successes and from failures, because it's the only way that we'll all learn from each other in order to be able to better understand how we can balance those 3 things. I think also if you think about our company structure, then in a way we have to find a way to be able to balance profit, because we're giving away profit that we're not putting back in the company, and we're saving it and then using it in pursuit of protecting the planet. So I guess you could look at it and say, well, we've got those things in better understanding, but how do we then make sure that we don't burn out our people in pursuit of the mission.
Talking about people, there were also conversations about DEI earlier today, and there's a lot of pushback in the States, but then we're seeing some of it kind of play out here in the UK with this anti-immigration narrative that's being drawn by a couple of political players in the country. Why is it important for businesses right now to tackle that misinformation, tackle that divisive politics, and show up and communicate with their consumers why sustainability, but also social sustainability, is important?
I think, in answer to your question, again, Anuradha made a really great point on this. I thought what was really pertinent was recognition that purpose-led businesses are usually purpose-led because of the employees that you've got working for you. Either you join in order to feel a connection to the fact that your work delivers something which is value above and beyond just money, or that the purpose of the company is lived and directed by the people that work for the company. So if you take that, and I also think a personal belief is a company does not exist without people. If you take the people away, there is no company. If a company is purpose-led, there is a large element that comes from its employees. And if employees care about the planet, care about doing business responsible, care about being inclusive to all races, no matter their colour, their creed, belief or whatever, then of course that's a way to be able to combat misinformation.
Thank you, Alex. Just on that, there's a serious antagonization happening of the term net zero in the UK. What strategies would you recommend businesses that they explore to kind of help tackle that? Because, every business has a net zero target. It is terminology that everybody uses in the industry. But if it becomes something that pushes consumers away, then that is a problem for businesses. So
I actually think if you tie that back to the question that you just had before, if a company has a net zero target because that's what they believe in, because they're a purpose-led business, they're doing that because they're a purpose-led business, and they're hoping that the outcome will be that their customers will still buy. So if their customers still buy, it makes no difference about whether a political party decides to say, well, net zero thing is not relevant. I also believe that that's a trend. That is something that somebody says in order to get media sound bites. The media has a question to answer there. How does the media also report responsible business?
Looking forward, we are less than 2 weeks away from COP30 in Belém, Brazil. Are you going?
Personally, no. And as a company, no, we're not. We can't this year, unfortunately. But of course, we still support the fact that this really important gathering of global countries happens. It's still so important.
There's been a lot of conversation about COPs no longer fit for purpose, and different people have their own aspirations for COP30.
Yeah.
But according to your perspective, what would a successful COP look like? What would you like to see come out of it?
It was funny, actually. I just remembered. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, and I was asked a question similar. And my answer there comes down to one word: it's action. We know that something needs to be done. We probably really know what we need to do. The answers are pretty much there. The key thing that we need to work together on is how we go about delivering those actions that will actually cause a change to help alleviate the climate crisis, along with recognising the challenges for the global south as part of that. I think also that's a key part too.
Thanks, Alex. And one of the bottlenecks to actually achieving this action is lack of leadership that we often see at summits like this. How should the UK position itself as a leader at COP30? What do you think UK leadership should look like in terms of government presence, but also corporate presence, businesses showing up?
Yeah, I think if you lump all of that together, I think the main thing that the UK government could do, or UK companies, or any companies for that matter, or any countries for that matter, the main thing is create, and I'll riff on something that the government came out with a little while ago called a coalition of the willing. Like a coalition of the willing, those organisations, people, governments that want to do something, they could convene, they could bring them together and create that platform for action to happen. That would be it, dead simple.
Thank you, Alex. It's been a brilliant conversation.
Thank you for your time.
And I'm sure our listeners will find it as interesting and insightful as I have. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today, and I don't want to keep you any longer here. It's already 9 p.m.
All right, thank you.
So thank you so much once again. And that is it for today's episode. Until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me. Thank you very much for your time, Sidhi. Much appreciated.